Good day. I am Jobane and I am going to talk about the introduction of abnormal psychology and its historical review. So, what is abnormal psychology? Abnormal psychology is a branch of psychology that deals with psychopathology and abnormal behavior, often in clinical contexts. So, let's talk about what is psychopathology. Psychopathology is the study of mental illnesses or psychological disorders that includes its symptoms, causes, if it's social, genetics, biological, or psychological, as well as its development, um, treatment, and strategies. So, um, this can be understood that psychopathology is an in-depth study of the problem of mental health, and it's like how how to understand them, how to classify them, and how to fix them. And psychopathology is important because the better we can understand why a certain mental disorder develop, the easier for us to find the better treatment for it. And unlike other studies, psychopathology has its challenges also. And first challenge is maintaining objectivity. It means that there are a lot of factors, there are a lot of things that needs to consider in order for us to avoid bias. Next challenge is avoiding preconceived notion. We must avoid preassumption, um, personal based opinion, especially in diagnosing without a without an adequate evidence. And lastly is reducing stigma. It is because mental health stigma can lead to feelings of shame and self-consciousness, and it can result to early detection and prevention of treatment. So we should be we should take account on that. And what is psychological dysfunction? It is a breakdown of cognitive, emotional, and behavioral functioning. For example, a person is experiencing a delusion that he is Superman and he has a superpower, would have a breakdown in cognition because his thought processes is not consistent with the reality. And next is the personal distress. Um, Personal distress is when a behavior causes a bad feeling, anxiety, or other negative feelings. For example, um, you feel so down, you're so lonely, you're so sad. You can you can't even get up to bed, or you can't even or can you don't have the appetite to eat, but um, you are still capable on um, on fulfilling your responsibilities, your job, but it seems like you don't have an interest in doing something in your life. Then the disability, it is impairment in some areas in your life. For example, if this is depression or bipolar um, disorder. Let's proceed to stigma. What is stigma? Stigma happens when a person labeled someone by their illness rather than who they are as a person. Like they treated it negatively because of their mental illness, and that is discrimination. For example, a person that has a person that is labeled psychotic in their town and was being avoided by all the people in there. And also, stigma has its characteristics also. First is distinguishing label is applied. For example, Leia the delusional, Leia the psychotic, like that. Another characteristic of stigma is label refers to undesirable attributes like the crazy girl, the abnormal, the Mongol, like that. Then another is people with a label are seen as different, like uh, they were being avoided by everybody. And then last is people with the labels are discriminated against. Okay, then let's talk about the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, or the DSM. So, what is DSM? It is a handbook that is used by healthcare professional as their authoritative guide in diagnosing mental disorder. It contains descriptions, symptoms, or other criteria for diagnosing mental disorder. Let's go to the history of psychopathology. In early ages, there is this term called demonology. It is a doctrine that an evil spirit can dwell within a person and can control his or her mind and body, and it can be treated through exorcism or through ritual in order to cast out the evil spirit. And then there is also this trepanation. It is a cutting of the hole in the skull because they believe that the evil spirit will come out in that hole. Then the hydrotherapy, the patient is being shocked back in their senses through submerging an ice cold water, like ice bucket challenge, like that. And then the early biological explanation. According to Hippocrates, mental disturbance have natural causes. There are three categories. These are mania, melancholia, and phrenitis. Mania is experiencing unreasonable, euphoric, hyperactive, and extreme moods. And then the melancholia is also known as depression. And then the phrenitis is the inflammation of meninges in our brain. This can experience headache, drowsiness, paralysis, coma, or even death. During Dark Ages, the church gained influence and the papacy was declared independent of the state. The Christian monastery, through their missionary and educational work, they replaced the physician as healers and authorities for mental disorder. And also, the monk carried and offered prayers for mentally ill person. Then, in the persecution of witches, witchcraft was viewed as instigated by Satan, was seen as a heresy and denial of God. So those accused that are witch or that are kanang having a witchcraft was being tortured by that time. Then the lunacy trials, the this begin the municipal authorities to have the responsibilities and care for the mentally ill people. And then the mass hysteria. Mass hysteria was characterized by a large-scale outbreak of bizarre behavior. In Europe, there are a lot of people in the street who dance, run, jump, or it's like they are having a party without a music. And then that behavior was known by several names, like including Saint Vitus Daisen or Tarantism. So, let's go over with the development of asylum. Asylum is giving protection, and the establishment for the confinement and care for mental ill was being established by this time. And the one of the first establishments was the Saint Mary of Bethlehem. Their treatment is non-existent or harmful asylum. Then eugenics, it is the practice of improving the human species by selectively mating people to reduce the suffering of breeding out the diseases or illnesses. It promotes sterilization and eliminate the undesired characteristic of the population. Then the insulin coma therapy. It is invented by Manfred Seikel. It is used to treat schizophrenia and other psychotic conditions. Then this treatment involves a inducing coma or seizures. Then the electroconvulsive therapy or ECT. It is invented by Sirletti and Bini. So it induced epileptic seizure with electric shock. And it seems to cause changes in brain chemistry that can quickly reverse symptoms of certain mental condition. Then the prefrontal lobotomy. It is invented by Igas Moniz. This is often led to listlessness, apathy, and lack of some negative abilities. It is a form of psychosurgery and neurosurgical treatment of mental disorder that induces the severing connection in the brain prefrontal cortex. Then, let's proceed to psychological approaches. First of this is Mesmer. Mesmer treated patients with hysteria through animal magnetism. Animal magnetism is a mysterious force claimed by Mesmer that enables him to hypnotize his patient. They also call this mesmerism. And then Joseph Breuer, he used hypnosis to facilitate catharsis. Catharsis is releasing emotional tension triggered by reliving and talking about the event. Then there is Freud. Freud's psychoanalytic theory. According to Freud, human behavior determined by unconscious forces. Also, Freud has three structures of the mind. It is the id, ego, and the superego. Id is the unconscious, your desire, your gratification, or libido. For example, you are hungry, and then you have in your mind that if you will see a food, you will gonna eat it, like that. That is id. And then the super ego. Superego is primarily conscious. It is the attempt to satisfy the id's demand within reality constraints. For example, you are hungry again, and then you saw a small slice of cake. However, you didn't eat it because you knew that if you will gonna eat it, the severe hunger will be back soon. So what you did is you will just wait until there is a food that will be given for you in when the kanang time nga tingkauna Mariana. Then the superego, it is your conscience. Like for example, you are hungry again, and then you saw a large slice of cake in the table, but you didn't eat it or even get close to it because your conscience was telling you that that cake belongs to someone and it is not yours, so why are you gonna eat it like that? And then the operant conditioning, so it is the learning through consequences. It is the law of effect. For example, a child if was being told that he will lose his recess privileges if he will continue on talking and doing unnecessary action during class. So that is the effect of, or the law of effect. Then the B.F. Skinner's principle of reinforcement. Principle of reinforcement has a positive and negative reinforcement. So example of positive reinforcement is a mother would give her son a new gadget for doing an excellent performance at class. Then the example of negative reinforcement is mother will remove or will take away the toy of her child if the child will continue screaming and having tantrums. And lastly, the cognitive therapy and rational emotive therapy. It is based on the idea that people not only behave, they also think and feel. They also emphasize that how people construe themselves and the world is a major determinant of psychological disorder. And that's all. Thank you for listening and God bless.